Hi, it's Caitlin, and I'm here with a new release from Cirque Colors this month. It's all about ballet core and just like Coquette. I guess that's like the new trend. But this collection is called the Encore collection. It's available now. And if you haven't already used my affiliate code this year, I have a new one for 2024. It's Caitlin10. I'll link it down in the description and it'll save you 10% on your Cirque Colors purchase. This collection is absolutely beautiful. It's so ethereal. There are some really beautiful polishes in here and I'm just excited to show them off, so let's get into it. Let's start off by looking at Odette. This polish is a gorgeous sheer. It is a cool toned pale pink sheer polish, which is perfect for me and my skin tone. It has a gorgeous milky finish. It's blendable and buildable, so you can choose to wear neither one coat, 2 coats, 3 coats, however many you'd like. And what I absolutely love about this polish in particular is the evenness of the formula. It just goes on like a dream. It self-levels and it's one of the best sheer polish formulas I've ever used. I love Cirque's sheer polishes in general, but this one, I feel like it might be their best yet. And I love, as I mentioned, the milkiness of this shade in particular. I am finishing all of my swatches off with the Cirque Colors Looking Glass top coat, and it just creates a beautiful glossy finish, even though the polish already is pretty much glossy on its own. I didn't let it dry enough before I applied the top coat, so I kind of dented my index finger, but I'm swatching like so many polishes every day and I went too fast this time. Anyway, this polish is absolutely beautiful. It works beautifully on my skin tone. I'm always searching for the perfect milky sheer jelly pink, and this one, because it's cool toned, I think works particularly well. It's just absolutely gorgeous and squishy. It looks like a little marshmallow on my nails and I can't recommend it enough. Next up we have Tiny Dancer, and Tiny Dancer is a glitter topper. It contains pink flash reflective glitters in a clear base, and this is sort of a choose your own adventure. You can apply 1 to 2 layers of this over your polish, and I personally liked it in 1. It has beautiful even coverage and it's so sparkly. It works beautifully over Odette, which is how I'm showing it. And as you will see, this does dry down very textured. This will likely need 2 layers of top coat, especially if you're using the Cirque Colors top coat. If not, you can use a glitter grabbing type top coat and then another layer of top coat over that, and that will give you the glossiest finish possible. So here you can see the tiny little glitters are really pretty. They're kind of like a rose gold shade. Sorry, my throat is still not 100%. So where were we? Oh yes, I was just talking about how pretty and delicate this topper is. It looks amazing underneath my camera flash, but that's not how it looks in real life. Next up we have Bizu, and this one is a thermal, and this one is just really fun. It's a dusty blue to mauve pink thermal nail polish, and this one dries down pretty matte, so you will want to use a top coat to gloss it up. And in order to preserve the longevity of the thermal effect, you should store it in a cool, dark place. And that goes for all thermal nail polishes. I love this blue, and before I paid any attention to anything. I didn't know it was a thermal, so I was just really happy with it as this really pretty shade of blue, but that tiny little pigment piece you see on my middle finger, should have given it away because that can happen sometimes with thermals. There's unmixed pigment. It tends to be a thing that I've noticed, but it wasn't too bad, and I do really love the shade of blue, and I also do love the shade of pink that it turns to. It's a really pretty polish, and I will of course show it when it warms up, but it being February, my hands were very cold, and I was happy that it mostly looked blue. Here you can see it sort of transitioning between the pink and the blue, and here it is when my hands were as hot as I could get them. It is really pretty in both of the shades, and of course if you get the two sort of transitioning on your nail at once, it's really beautiful and just a really sweet polish. Next up we have Sylph, and this one is a white pearl topper polish. They're calling it a glazed donut topper polish. So this one is a brushed pearl effect slash glazed donut effect. This is also buildable, so if you want, you could wear it as I'm showing it here on its own, and I will also show it as a topper. This polish does have brush strokes, and I tried my best to apply an even straight coats, which is how you want to work with a polish like this. They do dry down a little bit, and I personally don't have a problem with it. I think that there's some sort of element of nostalgia for me in this polish. I used to be obsessed with this pearly white CoverGirl nail slicks that I had as a kid, and this reminds me of that polish a lot. I really like this. I think that there are maybe other ways to get those brush strokes to a minimum. I have seen people use a sponge to apply the polish, and then it turns out to be more of a brushed metal looking effect. That's way too much work for me, so I was happy enough with it this way. When you get away from like a super close up, like the macro of me painting my nails, the brush strokes are slightly less obvious, as you can see here, and I do think it gives a beautiful pearly look. I don't know about the glazed donut, but definitely pearly. So now I'm going to show it over Odette in an attempt to get that glazed donut topper effect that they're talking about. And honestly, I don't pay attention to Hailey Bieber, so I don't really know too much about that trend, which I think is kind of where it started. Let me know if you think this is achieving that glazed donut look. I think it's really pretty, and I'm really excited to try Sylph over some different bases, but I think it's really pretty over Odette personally. And now I wanted to try putting a matte top coat, so I used the Cirque Colors Matte Look top coat over top to see if I could really achieve a pearlescent look, and I personally really like this. Again, it's a little unforgiving up close in my macro swatching, but here at a distance, the brush strokes aren't that obvious, and I think it's really pretty. Moving along, let's take a look at Coquette. Coquette is a multicolored Aurora shimmer graphic polish and topper. So this one is gorgeous. It has those scattered holographic pigments and also sparkly color shifting aurora pigments. This one is similar to Night Fever, Shaka, and Pele. I believe those were from a year or two ago, but I really, really like this formula. It's buildable and I think it gives beautiful coverage in 2 to 3 coats. I personally would leave it at 2, but I am going to show it in 3 for anyone who's unlikely to leave it in 2. This is my kind of polish. I just love baby pinks, delicate, sparkly things, and this has a beautiful formula. It's so sparkly. I just love everything about it. I love the name, and this will benefit from a top coat just to smooth everything out and of course enhance the holographic effect. These little glitters are very holographic. I will give them the Caitlin Swatches holographic checkmark of approval. They're not silvery, they're very hollow, and you can see here with that Aurora shimmer pigment, you get this gorgeous green at extreme angles. I think this looks pretty in all types of lighting. It's flattering on my skin tone, so I'm just feeling very lucky and happy to have this polish. They do also talk about Coquette being a topper, so I'm going to show it over Odette. And Odette works so beautifully as a base for so many different polishes, but if you wanted to preserve Coquette, you could just layer it over Odette for a really pretty, delicate finish. Last but certainly not least, we have Black Swan. So this is obviously a magnetic, and this one is such a cool addition to the collection. It's a black polish with magnetic holographic pigment. And I just love that this comes right out of left field with everything else in the collection, but it works so perfectly. I think Mila Kunis and Natalie Portman would approve of this one. So I'm going to show it in 3 coats, and I'm going to magnetize the polish after every coat. Because this does have a sheer base formula, I do recommend magnetizing after every coat, because if you don't, then the effect will kind of get muddied a bit. So the hollow in here is not the most rainbowy. It's very similar to their, I don't remember what the collection was called, but they did one and I think they were inspired by fizzy drinks or something. So it's similar to that, where you definitely see some of the hollow, but it's not a super strong rainbowy effect. It's there, but it's not gonna blow your mind. And I do think it's a super cool effect, but what you're seeing here is accurate to how I saw it in terms of the hollowiness. It's more of like a gray kind of static, if that makes sense. So you can see in 3 coats that you still get the essence of how this is a sheer squishy polish, which I think is really, really fun and pretty. I personally like when the magnet and the magnetic effect disperses a little bit. And I will show this under my direct lighting. The sun wasn't out, but my direct lighting does a pretty good job of mimicking sunlight, so you can see what I mean about the rainbowiness of the holographic effect. So you can just sort of get a hint of the rainbowiness there, and I do think this is a really cool polish. It's perfect to me for this collection. I love it, and I always love black nail polish, so definitely not disappointed to see this polish, and I do think it looks really, really cool. In terms of my favorites from the Encore collection, I absolutely love Odette. I am a sucker for the pink jellies that Cirque Color creates. I feel like every time they put a new one out, I love it more than the last. And this one has the most perfect formula. It has the perfect shade of pink for my skin tone. I can just see myself wearing it all the time. I also love Coquette. It is just so coquette. It is adorable, it's sparkly, it's delicate, it's pretty. It makes me think of pink bows and fluffy kittens. It's just perfect. What can I say? And lastly, I love Sylph. I know people might have opinions about it, but I personally love it. I think it is so beautiful. I don't mind the streakiness, and I think that it's really, I don't know how to describe it. It's like retro in a really good way. I don't know. There's something about it that I just like. I think it could be a personal thing. I've always really liked frosty white polishes, and I'm just so happy to have this one in my collection. I think it is so pretty, and I look forward to wearing it. So let me know what you think of these polishes. Let me know if you're planning on picking anything up, what your favorite might be, what your favorites are. And I guess that's it for me. Hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye.